Lando Norris just won in Abu Dhabi, but he might lose everything. The FIA has officially launched a post-race investigation into Norris McLaren, and the evidence they've uncovered could lead to a historic penalty. If proven guilty, Norris could be disqualified after the fact, stripping him of the win and handing the championship back to Max Verstappen. This isn't just a twist, it's a championship-altering bombshell. So subscribe right now to stay ahead of every update, every ruling, and every twist the FIA is about to unleash. Lando Norris finally stood on top of the podium at Yas Marina, fists in the air, eyes wide with disbelief. He had just won the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix and potentially clinched his first world title. But as the roar of celebration echoed through the McLaren garage, something far more serious was unfolding behind closed doors. Deep inside FIA headquarters, engineers had flagged inconsistencies in the car data from Norris MCL38. The celebration wasn't over, it had just been put on hold. According to insiders, what initially looked like routine post-race inspection took a dramatic turn. Telemetry data revealed unexpected behavior in the hybrid deployment system, particularly during two critical stints late in the race. The figures didn't match what had been pre-declared by McLaren before the start. And that's a serious problem. If the FIA determines that Norris used an illegal power configuration, the penalty is clear: time penalty or disqualification. What makes this more intense is the timing. The FIA waited until after the official podium ceremony, after the championship interviews, and after the broadcasters had wrapped. That's because the data was complex, it had to be triple-checked. Once confirmed, the governing body announced a formal inquiry into Norris' car, citing possible violations of Article 5.2.2 relating to energy deployment maps. Now, Norris' championship isn't just at risk, it's on the line. McLaren responded swiftly, saying the car operated within all declared parameters. But the FIA isn't taking their word for it. In addition to the telemetry, they are reviewing radio messages exchanged during the final safety car period. According to one senior paddock figure, there's concern that coded language may have been used to trigger a last-minute engine mode switch, one that wasn't logged in the pre-approved setup. If that's proven, it could elevate the case from a technical infraction to strategic manipulation. Meanwhile, Red Bull is watching silently, but with laser focus. Max Verstappen finished just behind Norris in P2, and if a penalty is applied, he inherits the victory. But more than that, Verstappen would claim the 2025 title in the most dramatic way imaginable, after the race weekend was already over. No appeal. No on-track fight. Just one ruling. One signature. And the trophy flips hands. For a team as methodical as Red Bull, this kind of opportunity is one they are prepared for. Across the paddock, reactions are split. Ferrari has called for transparency. Mercedes has chosen to stay silent. Aston Martin's team principal even hinted that post-race enforcement is as important as the racing itself. Fans are divided too. Some argue that a post-race penalty would rob the sport of a genuine underdog triumph. Others point to the regulations. If McLaren broke them, the win was never legal to begin with. The FIA is walking a tightrope, balancing between rule enforcement and the spirit of competition. As Sunday night turns into Monday morning, the world waits. Will Lando Norris be remembered as the man who conquered Verstappen, or the driver whose win was stripped by the rulebook? This is no longer about lap times or pit strategies. It's about integrity, compliance, and the weight of a world title hanging in the balance. One final ruling remains, and until then, the outcome of the 2025 season is still very much undecided. The FIA's case is rooted in numbers and legality, not speculation. After a full sweep of Norris' car post-race, detailed telemetry data revealed anomalous energy deployment in key sectors of the Abu Dhabi circuit. Specifically, the FIA found unusually consistent surges of hybrid power on corner exit during laps where Norris held off Verstappen's advances. According to Article 5.2.2 of the technical regulations, teams must declare and lock their energy deployment maps before the race. Any undeclared or dynamically modified deployment pattern is considered a breach. What triggered the alarm wasn't just the power surges, it was when and where they occurred. Norris gained time in precise sectors where Red Bull's data showed performance gaps. The issue wasn't top-end speed, it was traction and mid-exit torque, suggesting that the MGUK, motor generator unit, kinetic, might have been delivering energy beyond the FIA-approved thresholds. Engineers noticed repeated power windows that opened and closed with unusual regularity, as if an alternative mode had been discreetly activated mid-race. At this level of racing, even a 0.1 second gain per sector can determine championships. And that's what's at stake here. If McLaren used a mode that delivered illegal hybrid boost, even unintentionally, the entire race result could be nullified. FIA investigators are now overlaying telemetry with onboard footage, RPM logs, and throttle/brake trace data to see whether driver inputs alone could have caused the observed spikes or whether they indicate a breach of automated control limits. Adding more fuel to the fire is the team radio. FIA compliance has isolated a message from lap 52 where Norris is told to go full delta push, followed by a brief reply and a sector gain of nearly half a second. While the message itself isn't an explicit order to change engine maps, the timing is suspicious. The regulation is clear: no driver may change performance parameters via unapproved commands or hidden modes during the race. If the FIA interprets this communication as coded instruction, the case escalates fast. In addition to the hybrid concerns, the FIA also flagged rear floor plank degradation on Norris' car. This isn't just about wear and tear. The floor plank is used to regulate ride height. Excessive wear typically means the car was running too low, gaining aerodynamic performance but breaching Article 3.5.9, which mandates minimum plank thickness after the race. If the plank falls below legal limits, it's considered a black and white technical infringement, regardless of how it happened. While McLaren maintains the wear was caused by curb strikes late in the race, the FIA isn't convinced. Plank sensors showed degradation beyond tolerance before those curb events occurred. This data point alone could be enough for a technical disqualification, especially if combined with the hybrid deployment issue. What makes this even more complicated is that both infractions, energy deployment and floor wear, occurred in tandem, amplifying the potential for a double violation ruling. Verstappen's team, meanwhile, has formally requested clarification from the FIA under Article 14.1, without lodging a protest. It's a legal move that positions Red Bull for a retroactive victory and potentially a fourth consecutive world title for Max Verstappen. If Norris' win is annulled, Verstappen is next in line. And because the FIA hasn't yet finalized championship points, the outcome of this probe could literally change the standings at the top, not just for the race, but for the entire 2025 season. Inside the McLaren garage, what began as a moment of triumph has mutated into pure crisis management. The engineers who were once celebrating with champagne and backslaps are now staring at whiteboards and spreadsheets, trying to pinpoint exactly when and how the deployment anomaly occurred. Lando Norris has been removed from all media commitments. The mood is no longer victorious. It is tense, calculated, and defensive. Everyone is asking the same question: did we cross a line without realizing it? Norris, known for his humor and open attitude, has gone completely radio silent. No posts. No interviews. No casual behind-the-scenes clips. His inner circle has locked down access while legal advisors review the FIA's findings line by line. For a young driver who had just climbed to the sport's pinnacle, the psychological strain of potentially losing it all off track is monumental. Those close to him describe him as processing, knowing that his fate could rest on a software log or a worn-out floor plank. And behind the scenes, fractures are beginning to form. Some at McLaren argue that the floor issue was external race-related wear from aggressive curb use. Others believe the car setup itself may have been too aggressive, with engineers pushing ride height and rake settings beyond their usual comfort zone to counter Red Bull's late-season pace. The fear? That in chasing perfection, McLaren may have inadvertently created a technical loophole they can't defend under strict FIA scrutiny. Meanwhile, Red Bull has said nothing publicly. And that silence is loud. Team principal Christian Horner has been seen speaking privately with FIA officials but has refused to comment to the media. Max Verstappen hasn't addressed the controversy, but sources say he has cleared his schedule, fully aware that a ruling in his favor would deliver him a fourth title without turning another lap. No protest has been filed because Red Bull doesn't need to act. The FIA is already doing the work for them. Verstappen's inner circle is calm. They know the playbook. They've been through Abu Dhabi scandals before, but this time, they're not the ones under the microscope. If the FIA confirms Norris breached any section of the technical or sporting regulations, Max would be declared the winner of the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix. And more critically, he would overtake Norris in the final points tally, securing a world championship he seemed to have lost just hours earlier. Elsewhere, the paddock is rumbling. Ferrari has officially called for full disclosure of telemetry findings. Mercedes, still in rebuild mode, has offered a diplomatic no comment, but internal sources suggest they're quietly furious at the idea of a post-race reversal. Even Aston Martin, not directly involved, has requested access to the FIA's technical data for transparency purposes. Why? Because this decision may set a precedent that affects how every team operates in 2026 and beyond. The irony is brutal. A season that gave fans thrilling overtakes, strategic drama, and a climactic final race now teeters on a stewards' meeting and a technical compliance document. Norris' future, Verstappen's title, and the sport's integrity all sit on a knife's edge. This is no longer just about race pace. This is a test of procedure, patience, and pressure. And until the ruling is final, everything remains in limbo, a moment suspended in Formula One history.